Have you ever felt like every time that you're about to achieve something big, something comes up that holds you back? Have you ever thought that actually that something could actually be you? It's a common feeling and it's happened to all of us. But have you actually thought about it and thought, actually, why does this always happen? Welcome back to Master Your Mindset, Master Your Life. I'm Sanj and I'm here to help you shift your life from just surviving to fully thriving. If you like this episode, please share it with someone, leave me a rating or a review. In today's episode, I tackle the topic which actually will hit home for so many of us, and that's self-sabotage. How many times have you noticed that you are the only one hindering your success? We are our own worst enemy. And this line is often repeated, and it speaks to the reality of self-sabotage. We hold ourselves back without even realizing it. So think about it. How many times have you actually been the one? You've been the reason that you haven't got the job you wanted, or you haven't taken the action you've needed to, or you've done something wrong when even before you took the action that was wrong, you knew it was wrong, but you still did it anyway. How many times have you been your own worst enemy? Think about how big that is where your life could have been if you weren't sabotaging yourself. Think about what opportunities you could have had if you weren't holding yourself back. Today, I'm going to be talking about why you may be sabotaging yourself and 4 ways you may be doing it. I'm also going to be talking about why it takes self-awareness to recognize when you're being your own worst enemy, and how that's a first step to changing your life. And then I'm going to be talking about 5 powerful ways in which you can stop self-sabotage and start supporting your goals. If you've ever wondered why things seem to fall apart right before they're about to go right, this episode is definitely for you. So let's find out how you can get out of your own way. So the question is why do we self-sabotage? Why, when we're on the edge of achieving something amazing, do we so often feel compelled to do things that actually end up holding us back? Self-sabotage happens because deep down you have unresolved fears or limiting beliefs about success. You're wired to protect yourself from the unknown. And achieving something new or breaking out of your comfort zone, it can feel scary. And so ironically, sometimes it's just easier to stay stuck in the familiar. It's easier to stay stuck in the familiar than rise into the unknown, even if that unknown could lead you to a better life, even if that unknown could lead you to true happiness, to fulfillment. And the way you're actually self-sabotaging could be one of many ways, but here are 4 of the biggest ways, and you're not alone. It's so common. I've heard so many people say this to me. I've coached so many people with these same 4 things. Number 1 is lack of discipline. You set big goals, but you fail to follow through consistently. Why? Because that change requires discipline, and discipline means sticking to a routine, even when you don't feel like it. It's easy to set those big goals. It's fantastic. It feels great. And then when you're in it, when you're in the moment, when you're trying to chase those dreams and things are getting difficult and you're having to constantly show up day in, day out, what it is you then start to feel, is it worth it? You start to feel like, actually, did I set the wrong goal? And lack of discipline often seems a reason. Although you want the goal, you don't want it enough. So you end up having lack of discipline. You end up just self-sabotaging by not following through. The second one is chasing instant gratification. So in today's world, you're conditioned for instant results. You get food delivery straight away. You get answers in seconds. You get entertainment on demand. Yeah, a simple way is, how many times do you remember back when you had to record songs off the radio? Now you get it all streamed. When you had to go to Blockbuster to actually pick out the movie you wanted, rather than sit there on your sofa and literally you can scroll for hours looking for the right movie. and it's always there at your fingertips. So when your goal requires sustained effort, it's tempting to look for those shortcuts because you're so used to getting those shortcuts in life. Instant gratification leads you to put off what truly matters for just those quick wins. And the problem is those quick wins, they feel great for a few seconds, but once that moment's over, it's gone. You actually feel worse most of the time. Whether it's scrolling through social media instead of working on something you should, whether it's buying money instead of saving for something you really want, maybe it's eating that McDonald's when you're meant to be good. Yeah, that could be self-sabotage too. The next one is fear of failure or success. Yes, it is possible to fear success because you're afraid that what it actually means when you succeed. Who are you going to lose? How's your life going to change? Because it's going to change in ways you can't predict. You may lose people. You may gain new people. You're going to feel worried about pressure, judgment, your responsibilities that come with it, about other people's opinions. So in subtle ways, you're going to hold yourself back because you're actually experiencing imposter syndrome. You're experiencing it because you don't believe you deserve it. And it makes it hard to own your achievements. And you'll end up doing something like, you know what, actually, this is down to luck. And then another way in which you're self-sabotaging is you're overthinking. You're overthinking and you're trying to get perfection. Perfect doesn't exist. You can try as hard as you want, but there will always be someone who has something to say. You want things to go perfectly, but perfectionism leads to procrastination. You overthink, you worry about every detail, and then you get stuck. When you actually get stuck, you're there, you've got too many choices, it's too difficult. You're always complaining, you know what, it's not right, it's not the right time, it's not the right moment, this isn't good enough. Because you can't let go of the need for everything to be just right. So these are 4 ways in which you actually self-sabotage: lack of discipline, chasing instant gratification, your fear of failure or success, your overthinking or perfectionism. But actually, you need to take a step back from all of that. And when you're doing these things, you need to build the power of self-awareness to recognize when you're holding yourself back. So if you're doing all these things to hold yourself back, the way to stop it starts with self-awareness. Without self-awareness, you're just going to go through life on autopilot. You're going to repeat the same self-sabotaging habits over and over again until you become aware of them. It's only when you become aware of them you can start to finally see your patterns. It's only when you become aware of them you can understand what your triggers are. You can recognize your own thought processes and actually take action on it. What self-awareness does is it shines a flashlight in a dark room. It allows you to see things clearly and understand what's happening in your mind. When you're actually practicing self-awareness, you're more likely to achieve goals because you're more likely to take the right actions that stop the self-sabotage. Because self-awareness gives you the opportunity to change your actions. It allows you to change your actions before your actions can derail you. Without self-awareness, you're just a passenger in your own life. You're reacting to situations as they pop up. But when you've got self-awareness, you actually become the driver. You take control. You take the pen of your life story. You start writing it towards what you want it to be. You write the story the way you want it to happen. And in that moment, that's when the transformation happens. So if you want to start doing that, if you want to stop self-sabotage, you want to start moving forward, get a pen and paper and write these down. Number 1 is identify your triggers. Because the first way to stop self-sabotage is to know what your triggers are. Is it stress? Is it boredom? Is it a fear? This is where it helps to get a pen and paper out. Write down moments where you felt yourself holding yourself back. Over time, what you'll notice is a pattern starts to emerge and you'll start to see what situations, what thoughts, what actions lead to your self-sabotage. The second thing you can do is set clear, small goals. Your big, vague goals can often lead to procrastination and overwhelm because it may feel like you've got too much on your plate. Instead, break down your goals into small, actionable steps. When I say actionable, I mean it's almost silly if you don't take the action. And what that does is it means that you get small wins. And when you achieve these small wins, you start to build momentum. When you start to build momentum, you start to build confidence. When you start to build confidence, you start to take bigger action. When you start to take bigger action, it builds more momentum and then more confidence. And it's just a cycle. You're more likely to stick with your goals and hit your targets if they're broken down into achievable steps. Make sure they're broken down into the most ridiculously small steps that they can be. The next thing you can do is be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself, practice self-compassion, realize that you're going to mess up, that you're not perfect. And if you do mess up, be kind to yourself. Don't talk down to yourself. Stop that negative self-talk. Stop criticizing yourself. Stop telling yourself you're not good enough. Practice self-compassion. Talk to yourself like someone you love. It helps you bounce back from setbacks. It helps you stay committed. And when you treat yourself with kindness, with patience, you're actually more likely to keep moving forward because you're more likely to forgive yourself when things don't go right. The fourth one is to visualize success and plan for obstacles. Visualization, as I say, is a powerful tool and it's more effective when combined with realistic planning. So picture yourself achieving your goals. Think about how that success will feel, what you're going to achieve, what your life's going to be like. Then consider any obstacles that you may face on the way. Plan your ways to handle them. Because when you start mentally practicing your obstacles, it increases your chances of overcoming them. Yeah, and when they do actually show up, it helps avoid feeling derailed when those challenges come up. Finally, and the most important one in my eyes, is actually to create accountability. Accountability, I found, was one of the biggest game changers in it, because find someone you trust, find a friend, a mentor, a coach, and tell them about your goals. And when you have someone who's actually going to hold you accountable, who's not going to accept your crappy excuses, who's not going to accept you going, oh, I didn't feel like it today. The person who's going to hold you and push you to be the person they know you can be. That person is actually more likely, they're up to 65% more likely to help you reach your goals. Accountability helps keep you honest. It helps keep you motivated to stay on track, even when you're tempted to slip into your old bad habits, because you've got someone there telling you, whipping you and keeping you in shape, keeping you on that straight and narrow. Yeah, self-sabotage, it can feel like an invisible weight that's holding you back, and it's driven by your habits, your thought patterns that you may not even be aware of. But when you build that self-awareness by shining that light on these patterns and becoming self-aware and using these 5 ways that I've told you about to stop self-sabotage, you can start moving forward. Yeah, your lack of discipline, your chasing instant gratification, your fear of failure, success, and perfectionism. These are things that are actually stopping you from becoming the person you are destined to become. So stop doing them. Try and find ways. Join a community. Start talking to coaches, mentors, friends. Self-sabotage doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make you unmotivated. It's just part of being human. But when you've got the awareness and you have action which you can take to change these patterns, that's when you start showing up for yourself in new ways. So what's one area in your life where you may have been holding yourself back, and what are you going to do to stop holding yourself back going forward? As always, thank you for joining in and joining me on this episode. If you found value in it, please share it with someone who may need that reminder to get out of their own way, and leave me a rating or a review. Remember, true change starts with your mindset, because when you master your mindset, you truly do master your life. So until next time, keep challenging your limits and reach for what you're capable of. You got this.